Let's talk about the elements. Uh, First of all, Gong Hai Chao Fat. I'm pretty sure I butchered that. There's supposed to be 5 syllables, and I do not understand Chinese, whether it's Cantonese or Mandarin. But we are just going to talk about something that is common to the Indians, the Eastern people, the Asians, the Orientals, the Chinese. So many people have looked at the elements, and I want to focus on the hill in the background. Actually, that's the one that I want y'all to look at. So I'm just gonna hold it like this. All right, so elements don't exist on their own. They work in combinations of 2, 3, sometimes all 4. We got the basic ones. We got air, fire, and water, and earth. And I got myself a little scotch on the rocks. It's not scotch, it's not alcoholic even, but to symbolize water and earth together. Behind me you have a mountain, and you have the clouds up in the sky. You have the sky, which is basically air. Also, you got the sun, which you can't see anymore. That would be, if we had the sun, we would have air and fire together. So we're going to start with my favorite ones, which is air and fire. Why do I like these two things? Well, I don't like being cold. I don't like being wet. Some people prefer being cold and wet. Some people like the texture and the feel of moss under their feet. I like bare rock when it's hot under my feet. Different people like different things. And what does that say about you and what's inside you? If you prefer something in the outside world, there is a chance that what is inside you is the direct opposite. But it also depends on how much intensity you want the elements to be in outside and stuff. Now, I like it really dry. I like it really, really dry because I don't know if you would be able to see me now. That's just, this is a combination of actual water and sweat on my hands, but I sweat a lot from my palms and my feet and my nose even. There's a little bit on my nose if you could see. Well, anyways, I like air and fire. Why do I like air and fire? Well, those are 2 elements that complement. All right, so of the 4 basic elements, some of them are going to cancel each other out, and some of them are going to be complementary to each other. Now, y'all can guess that, fire and water, fire and ice, those things cancel each other out. We all know that. If you want to put out a fire, you use water. You might use gas, or you might use wind, but wind has a positive effect on the fire. A fire cannot start without the substance of, well, you need a little bit of earth to get it started. Or, as some would argue, apart from the 4 basic elements, you might also find metal, wood, and electricity in certain philosophies. But we're just going to look at the most natural stuff. This is pretty shamanistic stuff. And also, kind of stupid. But we got to look at all of these elements in the figurative eye, or as you would say, you have to look at these as parables or metaphors, or it's not what's physically present outside, but it also could lead to something. So anyway, let's just get back to air and fire. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to finish this video on time. I'm going to try to do several clips today, so I need the space as well in my phone. All right, so air and earth are direct opposites. As you can see behind me, there's a mountain or a hill. Now, when you think earth, you think of what's under your feet. You think of low level, but ground level actually, not low level. But you also got to realize that the crust of the earth, it can go deep into canyons or caves, there's a negative space created in Earth. The deep places, as some might refer to it. Deathwing the dragon from Warcraft was the ward of all the deep places, or the Earth Warder, according to lore. Now, you also have instances where the Earth rises above ground level or goes below ground level. The air is, in fact, not restricted by Earth in most situations. Air and wind or gas, you could look at air as either the wind or either the gas, the material aspect of it or the energy aspect of it. It's a little bit of both, and it's actually the closest thing to a neutron when you, I said that wrong, not neutron, electrons. Some people consider electrons to be waves and particles at the same time, and that's like, actual scientific physics, but we're looking at like, the wind can disperse in space and take up any shape or whatever. So be like water, my friend. When water is put in the kettle, it takes on the form of the kettle. You know the drill. All right, so air resists limitations, and as an ENTP, I think air is the most free element and the one that's most connected to me. All right, so maybe I'm an ENFP because I just said that stupid thing, but all of what I'm saying is actually something I learned from other people, so it's not my thoughts exactly. But yeah, air represents freedom in whether it's the zodiac, whether it's Chinese philosophy or anything. This is the year of the tiger, so I wanted to talk about the element of fire, which is closely connected to the tiger. The bull is connected to earth because it's stubborn, and it's also very heavy and got a lot of protein, I guess. Now the tiger could leap, so it's more active than the bull. Although the bull could kill you faster than the tiger could, the tiger is ferocious, and traditionally you would consider the symbol of the tiger to be more powerful, more fierce than the bull. Although both animals equally, I've never met them in the wild, so I'm not one to talk. I'm not like a hunter from Rudyard Kipling's age. But yeah. So yeah, ENTPs are gonna... Last video, I promised you that I would go on a little bit of an any rant and show what that is like, how it's like to jump from one thing to another, but still make a little connection between those things. All right, so air and fire, how they related? Air feeds fire. The more air you have, the more fire you have, because fire gets to burn off the oxygen, and fire feeds off of oxygen, so the wind pushes and feeds the fire into a bigger flame, or rather a flame. We should be using the word flame instead of fire there. While the earth traps air, so we've just taken one element, air, and talked about how it behaves with relation to earth and fire. Fire is a complementary element to air, whereas earth is a limiting and negative. It has a limiting and negative effect on air. You could still have air in caves. Sometimes you wouldn't. That's why they got headlamps that, burn off the oxygen, so that where you run out of pure gas and come across the noxious sulfuric stuff. I guess sulfur could still exist inside the earth where oxygen can't, but that's a story for another time. That's more burning, I guess. All right, so water and wind are both fluid, and they don't really take up the same space, do they? Like you don't really think about air and water together because you only see one of them. And it's the same thing with earth and fire, I guess. Fire is, fire is something that exists temporarily. It doesn't live very long. So Earth, on the other hand, is more permanent. Fire is temporary, Earth is permanent. Fire destroys Earth, obviously. Also, I forgot to mention, there you go again, any fire and air, while air feeds the flame, the air dances on the fire. So fire supports air as well. Air doesn't need fire to survive, but fire excites air, and therefore it's a positive relationship between those two. Water can fly around like air. Water needs earth to survive. Water can flow in rivers or stay in placid lakes, or carve through caves and earth to go into oceans and stuff. But water and earth have a very good cooperative element, especially in a glass. And I don't think I need to get too much into it. But then we also have to look at the elements inside us. Like, energy is basically metabolism. It's what you eat being burnt to create energy. That's fire and air inside your body. So you breathe oxygen, it goes to your lungs, and it goes to your bloodstream, and it goes to the glucose where it starts this reaction and stuff. That's basically what it is. And then our bones are made of earth. Our muscles are made of, I don't know what exactly, but I would say earth. And then our blood is obviously made of water. Wind can flow through water, yes. Fish breathe air inside the water, and oxygen flows through our blood. But that does not mean that they do coexist, but you only see one fluid at once. Like, you don't see the mixture as two separate things. You don't, although it physically exists together, it's just what your eye sees and how it interprets in your brain that matters right now. We're not thinking of it in physical terms. All right, so that's 12 and a half minutes. I think I'm going to end the video and maybe make another clip for water and earth separately. Oh, yeah, we got volcanoes now. The one in the back may look like a volcano, but this is not a volcano. This is just mountain. Although it was on fire the other day, but that's just human activity, and it's a dick move on your part, humans. You need to respect nature and stuff. Yeah, so it's basically, volcanoes and magma, that's molten rock, as we all know. It's rock at high temperature, but that's more metal, and it's not something that you would consider earth and fire together to be very destructive, just like hurricanes are destructive, and that's water and wind together. So those two elements you wouldn't want to mix. Every element has something that complements it, something that limits it, and something that just, when you put two together, earth and fire, water and wind, when you put those combinations together, it's destructive. It's bad for everyone. It's bad for the element. It's bad for us. But it's necessary. We can manipulate our elements. We've been doing that for a while. But also, yeah, clouds. Clouds are basically water trapped in air. So just as air could be found inside water, water could be found inside air. And obviously, we now know that one of the biggest greenhouse gases is water vapor, but that's science, and this is not science. This is just interpretation. All right, so interpret and live strong, people. Gong Hai Chao Fat. Happy Chinese New Year. I don't know what I said. I'm really bad at Chinese inflection, and I don't know Mandarin at all. But yeah, Happy New Year, and stay tuned for more Year of the Tiger videos coming up in 3, 2, 1, I guess.